Yeah, go ahead.
I am so excited today to finally get to interview someone that is amazing. His name is Nick, and I love his code name. I'm sure he'll share how he chose the name Robin Hood. Robin Hood. Rosokow, former educator, we'll be talking about how he views education, specifically special education will be a topic in Chuk, Micronesia at is it Waymar? Waymar High and St. Cecilia. Oh, Saint. So we probably will have some discussion on I think religious schools do have a different curriculum than the public schools. One of the first responders in the crisis of Typhoon Mesak with IOM, Islamic youth leader with Muslim Youth of North America and Islamic Society of Sarasota and Bradenton. He was a volunteer speaker at Create to Communicate, Tea Talks, and One Micronesia. He also mentioned that he used to do, or he's done stand up, for throwing that in, and upcoming Micronesian hip hop mogul and community activist. You must follow him today and look up Nik Rosokow, but you also can just look up Robin Hood, which will probably be easier to remember. But thank you so much, Nick. I know you just jumped off one interview and jumped onto mine. He was just interviewed by my soul sister, Deslin Hakias, and today he'll be talking about a different topic, which is education. How do parents even view or be open minded about viewing, looking at options when you have someone who's either ADHD or some learning disability when you mentioned earlier there is a stigma and some judgment.
Uh, well,
Stage
first,
is yours.
nah, no worries. Well, first and foremost, all praise to the Most High. Second off, thank you for having me on. Letting go and aloha. I just want to make sure I give you your flowers and your credit you deserve. So, really,
Oh,
the pleasure's all mine. Sincerely, thank you, Karen. Also, just a quick little note: it's way Pat High School, but it might have been my mishap on the note.
oh,
Yeah, I apologize. So, but no,
okay.
yeah, in terms of yeah, in terms of like parents just dealing with children with like disabilities. I have autism myself, right? And me growing up, I got a lot of assistance, coming up. I was fortunate enough that like my mom, she has a background in special education, so she was able to kind of like spot
Those
those signs and
signs.
symptoms, and she had a colleague come through, and he had flown all the way to Saipan. That's where I was born, guys. And
Wow.
yeah, so came out there. He evaluated me. Um, he basically broke it down to me that because of my relationship, because of the excuse me, because of the special education system over there in Saipan at the time, uh, they weren't as like developed as they are now. Because keep in mind, this is the '90s. I'm a '92 baby,
Mhm.
so he was like trying to tell my mom that because of because he's so high functioning, I think it's best if he was labeled as slow learning
Mhm.
because he's high functioning enough that he can like he can maintain like in like a mainstream like setting.
Mhm.
So, but he was explaining to her that it's better that you guys travel to the states so that way he can get the assistance that he needs. And by the time I was 7, I made it to Lexington, Kentucky, and I had gotten like officially diagnosed at the Autism Center at the University of Louisville. And then I started getting things like occupational therapy, speech therapy. I took some classes to learn basic social skills. So it definitely helped me out a lot. Which is having like a mother that has a background in special education. Um, but yeah, I feel like parents should just be open minded. Um, they should be very, very sympathetic and understanding. That their child is special.
Mhm.
It's not like no other child that you're gonna ever have. And a child is a gift.
Yes.
And I feel like that could be something that will open the hearts and minds of others that are blessed with family members that have like disabilities, and that way they can be as best as a sibling or relative or parent or son or
Mm-hmm.
or daughter to someone with with autism or Down syndrome or just any type of
It's a mindset shift though, right? Because a lot of parents, you are very fortunate that your mom was in the field. I mean, I think a lot of parents feel lost and they're not sure, what resources to look towards, or how do you even do the, it's hard enough to be a parent, but how do you make sure that you provide the right resources and even education? Was your mom really into, like helping you with your homework, or like how involved was she in your academic life?
I think that yeah, it's definitely a mindset shift, I guess. Just like you said, I think it's more. I don't think it has to do anything necessarily with like just having like her background as well, but I think it was just more with just like just
Empathy?
just just being excuse me,
Empathy? Just being
empathy. Yeah,
empathy?
just being understanding about the about the circumstance. I like speaking from a Micronesian standpoint, right? When I went back to Chuk and I seen like there was like a lot of kids where they had disabilities. I have a sister or a cousin. She has Down syndrome, and
Mm-hmm.
like those close family members, they're understanding, but there's like a handful of them where they didn't really like get it. They didn't know how to maneuver with having someone that has like special needs in our family. You know, and I think it's just for one, you have to inform yourself. This goes for everyone who's watching. Like
Mm-hmm.
taking an opportunity to actually like get to look at uh like a person's situation, and whether if it's like doing research like just via Google,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or getting a chance to like actually speak to the experts, talk to them. You know, um, I think that was one thing that was like awesome about me attending like special needs schools. Um, I had my like for example, I'll give you a prime example. Uh, I know a little bit of ASL,
Oh,
but
wow.
that's because a lot of my classmates, they were deaf and mute, because we're all like in like this setting, with special needs students. So I was like, man, okay, if these are gonna be my friends, I want to be able to communicate with them. I want them to know how I feel, and I want to know how they feel too, and we're just friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you do as friends. So I seen like teachers' aides, and they would talk to them, and I just be like, hey man, come on, like show me this, and like
Wow.
I always had like this eagerness to to learn, and and I think like that's kind of what drove me to be an educator, was because like I wanted to like be that that source of comfort too, and like man, alhamdulillah, man, like I'm using my gift to to I guess like have like an influence in that
Well, you
background.
definitely impact young lives. I mean, can you share your experience in being an educator? Because you were, so it's high school. Oh, that's right, Saint Cecilia.
Yeah. So
What do you think? I mean, how was that experience?
no, like it was awesome. Just to break it down, just a real quick before I started becoming a teacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
I actually used to work at this arcade back in Bradenton. It's called Saturn Five. So a big shout out to John Russo. He was the owner of the franchise, and he gave me an opportunity to work at his establishment. Man, awesome boss. But it's a lot like Chuck E. Cheese,
Oh, mm-hmm.
or like you guys have in Hawaii, Fun Factory.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I was the guy that like I would be hosting all like the little kids' birthday parties and
Oh,
stuff.
wow.
And I've always had a fondness about kids, man. Uncle Nick love the kids. So you know, once I got to Chuk, I think my lifestyle, it definitely made like a big change. Because I went from living one way to just like having to come to like a third world country, and just experiencing poverty, like raw and in my face. So, and I didn't necessarily think that I was gonna strive to be an educator, but I seen that there was a shortage of like willing teachers back home, and I knew that I was good with kids. I just didn't know if I could necessarily like teach per se. But I helped out kids with their homework. A lot of my little cousins. Even just like some just friends that were a little bit, slow.
Mm-hmm.
No offense to them, but yeah, I took my shot at it. First opportunity I got was at Waypad High School. The principal at the time was he's actually my grandmother's brother. So it was my grandpa.
Wow.
That's out of Papa Mannix. Love you, man. Yeah, he gave me that opportunity, and I taught out there at Waypad. So it was only voluntarily at a time though. And then like for like a 2 month period, ended up making my way back to the main island in Muero, and then I was there for a little bit, and then I ended up starting teaching at St. Cecilia. That was awesome. I taught kindergarten, first grade, seventh and eighth grade.
Ooh,
Yeah.
seventh and eighth grade. So
Oh
how
my
were the
goodness. It was
different? It was a different species sometimes, right?
man, I'm gonna be honest. I had a lot more. I had a lot more fun like teaching my kindergartners and first
Yes.
graders. I feel like they're a lot easier to manage,
Yes. Well,
So,
they're
but
excited and they want to learn. When you get into that middle school age, it's did you get that the attitude and like
oh
not
man,
as
plenty of
passionate?
times, man. Plenty of times, like because these are young people, like they're coming into that transition from being a child to being like a young adult. And preteens, and they're just having inner battles with like stuff like self identity.
Yes.
They might have problems at home,
Hmm.
like with the family or whatnot. Um, they of course they're gonna have problems just at school, trying to fit in, find themselves, and like you as an educator gotta be aware of that, and you just gotta do the best that you can to play that role as as a teacher, and uh, like one thing is like I definitely was labeled the cool teacher
I
because
bet.
like like people are aware of my music status, so
Yes.
they definitely, I ain't gonna lie, like my eighth graders, seventh graders, they would do this thing where they get in a circle and be like, Mr. Rosokow, come on man, rap,
Yeah.
and
You could
so
wrap your lessons and your class will be totally intrigued.
yeah, I actually did that at Waypat. At one point, I did that. I had this record. It's called Street Lights. I reflected on like issues that women face coming from like an environment like the streets.
Hmm.
Just stuff like prostitution, drug abuse, alcoholism, domestic violence, sexual assault, and rape, things of that matter. And I used the first verse to actually teach my English class for the ninth and 10th graders. There was examples like, like metaphors, synonyms, antonyms, similes, of course, like, like grammar
Hmm.
and,
Hmm.
and vocabulary, especially because like I really did, like, I think I went in, with the bars, but, yeah, like I basically how I did it was I broke it down to where, because like a verse is 16 bars, so I did 4 bars each from Monday through Thursday, and then Friday, I gave them a test, and I tested them on all these different parts of grammar,
Wow,
just
that's
really
a
understand.
very creative way to, that's why I'm thinking if you could do that instead of like read this boring story and, find the metaphors, it's not the same when when you can relate to
And it
it.
was honestly, God, I feel like that's what kind of made my students get a little bit more in touch with me too, because like I felt that because one big fear that I had was that because of my music background, they might not necessarily take me as serious, as being a teacher. They might be like, "Oh man, that's a cool substitute, man. Yo,
Yeah.
So
Let's just
like
have
I
a
was like, you know
concert
what?
during the whole class.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? Let me flip the script on these guys, and I definitely did. And I think that they were thrown away by it. I know that my grandpa was. He definitely. Oh man, he was impressed. And I didn't. I tried to stick to the regular curriculum that they had, but I implemented like a few of my little techniques here and there. And
Hmm.
sincerely, I was inspired by my mom, because my mom, she was an educator like that a lot too. Like she would stick with the regular curriculum, but she tried to find ways to make it interesting for the kids, so that way they were like really really eager to like really like sticking with the books.
Hmm. What grades did she teach?
Oh man, like
All.
too many, like sincerely, like I think like I can literally say that she probably, the only grade that she probably didn't teach was freshman high school. I
Wow.
think the only ninth grade. because she taught so many. Because so let me break it down real quick, which I already did with you personally, but let me break this down like everywhere I've been at. Right, I was born in Saipan. Okay, 6 years Saipan, 1 year Sri Lanka, 2 years Kentucky, 3 years Hawaii, 12 years Florida, 3 years Chuuk, and then the last 5 years I've been jumping around the states. Uh, of course, like uh, I've already we she had she basically like retired like in Florida, but
Hmm.
throughout like those years of us traveling, like she taught at like multiple schools, because we were just constantly moving, you know. But yeah, like throughout her years of teaching at these different schools, of course, she taught like different grades and different subjects too. Primarily English. She was also a school counselor at one point. I know she was big on that in Saipan. She was a school counselor over there. But yeah, yeah, she was definitely an impact on my life and how I wanted to be an educator. So
Wow.
I've been considering maybe pursuing that here in the states, but I don't know. We'll see. Only time will tell, I guess.
Well, you know that you'd be, the children's favorite, especially the teens. I think the middle schoolers just crave that because so many of them are either cutting class or just they don't see the value, of education because all of them wonder like why are we learning this useless information, but it's some of it you need, some of it you don't need, but in order to graduate you need to, right, follow a certain curriculum.
No, no, absolutely. I think my senior year was probably my toughest year. Um, I love my mother. Like I said, clearly, like, I've just talked about how much like she had an impact on me. Unfortunately for me, when I was young and finding myself, I wasn't making the right choices. I ended up being like just such a bad kid that the minute I turned 18, like, I had to leave the house. Um, that was my senior year, sadly. So my senior year, I had to, I couldn't go play football. I had to work. There was a lot of times I was thinking that I wasn't gonna like get through school. And that's I think when I was like kind of like skipping classes a little bit. But I had a counselor by the name of Zucker, Mark Zucker. Uh, and that man, like he played
A major role.
yeah, he did. Yeah, he really did. Yeah,
What do you think
he
makes someone, like really make a major impact? Because that's the thing, like a lot of parents or teachers wonder what can they do to, like you said, when you're going off that the roads that maybe, like you said, you didn't want to, but you're growing, you're learning, you're experimenting. What do children crave to learn, or what do you think you would have benefited from hearing, like what he provided for you?
well, for one, uh, which is kind of a sad truth. But there's three. Well, let me say this first before I get into the sad truth. So there's three things there's one thing I've learned in life. There's three ways that people learn. You hear about it, you see it for yourself, you experience it.
Yeah.
And experience is a bad teacher, but that's one of the lessons that you'll never forget. You know, a prime example, a metaphor I could say, like it'd be like, okay, there's a wall, and sometimes you can tell a person, hey, you see this wall, you can't bust through it. Sometimes you gotta let that person see someone else try to bust through the wall and not be able to, and realize, oh man, okay, it's actually impenetrable. And then there are some people, which tends to be a lot of young people and a lot of young boys. A lot of times they think that they're so strong, they're so tough. Oh man, you know what? I could break through this wall without a scratch. They might have to hit this wall 5 or 20 or 100 times, and they're gonna still continue to try. And that kind of is what is the sad truth. A lot of things that I learned in my life, I was fortunate enough that I had like older friends and siblings and people that cared about me and were able to tell me, hey, what you think you can do, what you think is easy is not as easy as you think. you know there's a lot of students that I had that they were a lot like that, and some of them they had to they just had to see like the others fail, when they
Hmm.
came up to the challenges. But there are a handful of students that, unfortunately, no matter how much, guidance we gave them, no matter how much, love we gave them, and try to be there for them, like they had to, kind of learn things the hard way. And all you can do is just do the best you can to be, a support system for them, you know. And that not just goes like with just being like an educator, but even like
Hmm.
outside of a school setting too, being a friend, you know. Uh, yeah, my students sincerely like I got like a bond with them that's unbreakable. Like to this day, like I have like a few of my students that they actually maintain contact with me, just via social media. Yeah, surprisingly, man. So, and then even the relatives and the parents, for like my kindergartners, they're not old enough. So, I had a student by the name of Jeremy. His dad is like my age or a little bit younger. I can't remember, but he's a good friend of mine, and I've been keeping in touch with Jeremy over in he stays is the station in Spokane, Washington. So
Oh,
shouts out to you and Jeremy if
wow.
you're watching, man. So yeah, man. And what's funny, see, speaking of that, he was probably one of my naughtiest of kindergartners. Oh man, that little boy, what? He was so naughty sometimes, man. So, but honest to God, like I can say this without a doubt. Like he definitely listened to me like more than any of the other teachers that were in the school. So, him and yeah, him and a handful of my other students, sincerely, man, like they're forever engraved in my heart. I love them to death.
Oh, and sometimes the naughty kids are so bright, they don't want to be, just in prison, right? They're so creative and they don't want to be bored. They're just so bright. And so it seems like they're naughty, but they're really just asserting their independence or they're just very strong-willed, right?
No,
I think they're just
exactly.
strong-willed, but
I
they're
feel I feel
judged.
like I feel like that too. Like they're definitely asserting their independence, and they have like their own ideas and their own way of like being themselves and wanting
Hmm.
to wanting to express it. It might not be understood by like a handful of teachers, but you know like uh like I said, that goes back to what I was saying earlier, like just being like a support system for them, and just giving them that free will.
Wow. So, any particular challenges that I believe the experience is the best teacher because sometimes, like you said, they won't understand it. They're like, oh, yeah, that's no, I can do that, right? It's just so easy. I don't need to be in school or I don't need to. And sometimes, like, they do learn, right? They do learn from failing and learning. And this is what I'm trying to teach kids that it's okay to fail and make mistakes. But if they're taught that mistakes are to be avoided at all costs, how do we change that mindset? Because that is something that it can truly change the education system and the stress if kids know it's okay to, you know, fail and make mistakes. What's
That
your
right
take?
there, that right there is honestly that's a good question. No, I think that first off, that of course that starts with a home environment as well. I remember I had a PE coach when I was attending this school. It's called Oak Park. They were I kept on trying to tell one of my classmates, because he hated losing whenever we played like particular sports, right? And I just be like, yo, man, it's just a game. And then my coach would literally like get in my face and be like, it's not just a game, it's a competition.
It's life. You need to win at all costs.
Yeah, no, but I think the thing that my coach was trying to get me to understand was like, look, man, like you're gonna lose sometimes, and you have to accept it, you know.
Yes,
And
definitely. But
like
how do we get that?
losing, yeah, and losing. Like here's the thing, and that's sincerely like that's one thing I think that kind of like and I can't accredit my coach for that in particular, but like one thing that engraved with like my character, uh, I love when people doubt me because it drives me to prove them wrong. I love my haters. I love them to death. Shouts out to all you guys you watching. I love you guys. Sincerely, I really do. Like I have a lot of admiration for them because I love proving them all wrong. And that's the thing I think kids need to understand is like, look, man, like you're gonna have ups and downs in life, but when you fall, uh, what's in a testament to being a man or being a young woman, is how you get back up. So and just keep trying and keep pushing. Don't let that don't let that stop you. There's been plenty of times where like I've felt that I wanted to like stop pursuing my dreams and my aspirations, but I think that now that I'm the age that I'm at, and the experiences that I've been through, I feel like like I don't necessarily let that negativity like affect me and affect my my drive. So I just want to keep going and keep growing and keep glowing. So I think that should be something that should be like reflected with the kids as well.
But that takes a lot of courage. A lot of times they want to be admired or they want to not be considered a loser. I think in that, when you're in that, well, sometimes even as adults, right? We don't want to be, oh, I got fired or I got divorced or and we just judge ourselves so much. Or maybe it's the fear of being judged, right? Like, how do you get that strong mindset? I loved one of your inspirational videos. It's very short, but you mentioned how, like, if you fall, to get up, that what really matters, I think, is it's like the perseverance. It sounded like you were right. Don't quit, no matter
Yeah,
how like hopeless or how low you get. How do you get that? That's an inner strength.
I think yeah, and that's the thing. It's inner. I don't know like how like I feel like because I've been through so much, that's one of the biggest reasons that I'm the way that I am. You know, I'm so optimistic now because I realize like how far I've come. You know, like I would like so just me being autistic, like I wasn't even verbal when until I was 6. I didn't verbally express myself until that age. And now I'm an upcoming exec, and I'm looking into doing like like multiple businesses, and it's like it's and think about it now. I'm here talking with you, on this platform, and having the opportunity, give some outreach, uh that right there is should be like a testament to like, oh man, never stop, keep going, you know uh I sincerely hope that like my story can be like a reflection for for those who are watching that have like children that have like disabilities, because like they're literally the sky's the limit. It's a matter of just being optimistic no matter how down you are. Continue to be persistent with like being involved with your kid's life. Be understanding of what they're going through. Even if they're not disabled, just if they're just going through some things in their life.
Hmm.
Understand that you have to kind of let them like kind of do their own thing too, because I feel a lot of parents they tend to baby their children, especially in this era. you
Yeah,
know um you gotta let them grow, let them scrape their knee a little bit. uh there's nothing wrong with that, man. Sometimes, like I said, like you can't get back up if you didn't fall down in the first place. you know
exactly.
and that's what happened with me. I think that and I was talking to you about that earlier too, is like like my mom, I love her to death. I love you, mama. I love her to death so much, and she just she I felt that she pampered me a little bit too much, and I had my little bit of struggles here and there, growing up, but I was just such a bad kid that come the time that I was 18, I had to leave the household, and like that was the worst thing that happened, but it's the greatest thing that happened because I had to learn everything. Like, okay, I learned about how to pay rent, utilities. Okay, if you want to do stuff like healthcare, or, like just health insurance, how to have a car payments, gas, insurance on the car. Like, I had to learn how to be an adult on my
Wow.
own 2 feet, and I had to learn quicker, because I had to survive. Um, and there's kids that literally they have like this same story. Sometimes they're struck with adulthood like even earlier than like just the age of 18, just because of their living conditions or their circumstance that they're going through. So, you know, um, it's just it's all on the kids, but it's all on us as as parents or as guardians or as older siblings or uncles or aunties, just to to be that crutch when they need it. You know, don't be scared to let them like jump out the nest. But if you see them falling, hey man, you're right there. You can pick them up. But yeah, man, let them spread their wings. Give them opportunity to really like expand. Fly as
Well,
far
and
as
this
they.
is why I love this interview because I think a lot of us fear. I was just telling you, I just dropped off my 19-year-old at the airport, never went on an airplane by herself. And you said you can relate to it. But I know a lot of moms who are so petrified of raising a child who won't be a functional adult. And I love to hear stories like yours where you say I was a naughty kid and I did this and I did that, but look at you now. I think parents need to see you as an inspiration where don't you think sometimes parents judge you like a child who is naughty? Well, what kind of adult are you going to be? You need to listen to your teachers. You need to, and the kids feel so misunderstood. So you're saying, I mean, to give empathy but also like not coddle, right? Because I think it's just maybe human nature that, or maybe it's not
You know,
trusting.
you know, how some,
Sometimes,
how some teenagers like they're. It's not every teenager. How some teenagers, well, a lot of teenagers, they just want to just kick it in their room.
yes.
Okay, that right there should let you know, like, okay, sometimes you gotta give them their space. Uh, even me, like, I know, like, me growing up, I definitely needed my space, and like, I think, like, a lot of times, like, because of, like, you're so used to when they're young, they you kind of have like a general idea of where you want to see them in life when they get to a certain age. But keep in mind that what they might not have the same aspirations or the same goals because they're becoming young adults. They're gonna have their own dreams, their own aspirations. Uh, I was just talking with this, talking about this with Deslin, but like my stepfather, since he's my dad, but he's my stepdad, but to me he's my dad. But he didn't necessarily approve me, getting into the music industry. And I think that that kind of like created like a little bit of a like a drift between us. And now I think he's a little bit more understanding because he sees like the impact that I have and how I actually want to use it as a platform for my activism.
Hmm.
But like the thing is that like I had my own goals, and no matter what anybody might want for myself or even just necessarily just want the best for me, uh, I didn't let that stop me from pursuing it. And I think that like I said, I'm one of the type of people that like it motivates me when people doubt me because I want to prove them wrong. And it hurted a little bit that it was like my own pops.
Hmm.
Uh, but it motivated me. It drove me to be like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna show my dad. I'm gonna show my dad I can do this. Uh, like I said, it's just you can't tell a man what to do. You can only advise him. And I know that in his heart he was just giving me the best piece of advice that he could from his experiences. Him coming from Sri Lanka, which is a third world country. You know, people very rarely like reach a celebrity status coming from like poverty. Even Micronesia, I think that none of my relatives that were from Chuk would expect for me to be as far as I am here. And uh and then of course just me being autistic. My mom, I don't think my mom would ever expected me to be where I'm at. She knew that I was special and she knew that I was capable of doing like anything. But having a voice like this and using my gift to to change lives and impact them. And I think that she never thought that I would be able to reach these type of potentials. So I'm
Would you
just
be an
fortunate.
educator? Would you ever, in your wildest dreams, when
Oh
you were
man.
7 or 8 years
So I'm gonna
old?
I'm gonna keep it a buck, right? So when my mom had kicked me out, we didn't talk for the longest. When she one day or a week after me flying into Micronesia, she called me and she was trying to encourage me to come back to the States because she was worried. She was
Hmm.
being that coddling mother, like, hey, listen, I know things were rough or whatever between us, but listen, you don't want to stay there. It's dangerous. And sincerely, Chuk is actually is kind of dangerous a little bit, depending on like where you're staying at. But I was like, no, mom, like this is my heritage, and this is who I am, and I need this. This is gonna be a chapter in my life, and I actually have aspirations of going back home too. There's particular reasons why I'm here in the states, but yeah, like I just I wanted to get I wanted to get that life changing experience back home, and get to learn more about myself and who I am, and my ancestors, where I'm from.
Hmm.
Uh, Even me being there at that time, I didn't expect to get into teaching. Uh, but yeah, it was awesome. And when my mom heard that I was a teacher, uh, that's kind of what rekindled our relationship, and I'm forever grateful for that. You know.
Well, I'm sure she was just, I mean, her heart must have just been beaming, thinking, oh my gosh, how far you've just come from being 6 to how old are you when you started teaching?
20, 23. I think I was 23. Yeah.
Wow. That is an amazing story, Nick. I mean, I don't think, I think this is why parents need to hear stories like yours where they just put a judgment on their child with special needs. And a lot of the kids that I tutor, they're either learning disabled, so maybe they're, 2 to 4 years below grade level or a lot below level. And then the parents really believe that they will not be able to make it as an adult because of their reading level or because they don't, maybe they just cut school. So I love hearing where, because it's easy to say, right, he'll be fine, he'll be fine. But when they see someone who's actually achieved what you've achieved,
Yeah. No. Thank you. Uh, I was to say I don't really know what to say from that point, but no, I just I really I don't know. I do hope that my story is is gonna be inspirational, to some. Uh, Particularly more for like just students than the parents, because I feel like there's a lot of times there's like a lot of times what happens with kids is they have self-doubt. So there's actually just getting into like the music a little bit, right? There's
mm-hmm.
a younger artist coming up in Iowa. He's been battling with self-doubt, and I've seen his growth, like from I think this is like 2000, like 2017, 2018. I've seen him like really come up, and I'm so proud of this young guy. And I feel like, and I had to like had this conversation with him. I'm like, yo, like I don't know if you realize this, like I feel like I got more faith in you than you got faith in yourself, my guy. Like, come on, bro. Like you gotta step it up, bro. And me being exec now, I'm looking into like managing him, low key.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd like to look into being a manager as well. So I have a few other artists that I got my eyes on. I don't want to say too much, but sincerely, like this young man, I'm definitely I'm gonna start backing him up financially. I really do. I want to see him prosper and progress. I think he has like a talent. I think he has a gift, and I think he has something to offer to the world. Um, you know,
Well, that's probably a gift too, because you know what, you have to have that eye and that foresight to think, you know what, I see something in you. And I think that's what's missing. So as we close, what do you think? How do we get parents to see what they don't see? I mean, sometimes you just see something and you don't realize that it's a flower that will bloom, and they just see that, oh my gosh, the leaves are falling apart, or there's no hope. You know how you were saying that so the kid is doubtful, and when a parent also adds that, you know what, if you don't, right, I hear this a lot from parents, if you don't do your homework, if you don't go to school, if you don't, and I'm, no matter what I say, it's hard to change that mindset. I mean, I'm an educator. Education is not mandatory as far as academics to succeed, right? Like you said, experience. I mean, yeah, you want to graduate from high school, but there are so many stories, right? So many stories where people, I mean, how do you see that gift, or how can you inspire parents to have faith?
like I said before, it's back to being open minded and open hearted.
Yes.
Um, you know, um, sometimes here's the thing I also want to reflect on too. Keep in mind that sometimes what a child might want, then he might not want that in the next couple of years. I'm sure you've heard stories where
Oh,
like
yes.
a little girl might want to be a violinist, and then she hears about her friend going horseback riding. Now
Yes.
she wants to do horseback riding. Then she sees her friend doing a clarinet. Oh, I want to go
Yeah.
do learn the clarinet. Like the interests of children will constantly change. And sometimes what's sad is like, people, especially like people coming from like an impoverished background, they don't have like those financial means to like support them in whatever it is that they're pursuing.
Hmm.
But like I said, it's just a matter of like opening your I guess like your mental, and just like I said, just being open minded with like what they're wanting to do, and playing a role in, however you can to, to help them, uh, before even I was considering being like an exec, there are certain people, and even now too, even now there are artists that like I feel like, what, like I might not be able to offer like this type of assistance, but I can, plug you up with this, or I can set you up with this guy. Maybe he can be able to help you out, and that's just that goes same with like just being a parent. Just try your best to, just like be open minded, and find ways and niches to like help, your kid like with whatever they want to do, whatever they want to be in life. you know uh they might not even know what they want to do. That happens a lot when they're
Yes.
becoming a young adult, is they have that they come to this crossroads where it's like, okay, what is it that I want to do? I remember when I was actually coming up, uh that was a big eye opener for me, was when I was getting into high school and they were asking, okay, what do you want to major in? What's your major? And I was like, I didn't understand what that meant, and I didn't want to say at the time, oh, I want to do music, because I felt like that wasn't something that they could take serious. But at the time, I knew that I had interest in animals, so I just said, oh, I want to be a marine biologist, and that was something I was interested in at the time. And I'm glad that I got a chance to learn a little bit more about marine biology and zoology and just biology in general. But you know, I think that if there was like more, opportunities that they presented in like schools to like
Hmm.
help kids with pursuing like different types of uh I guess you could say like careers, then it definitely would be like a better setting. And I don't know, I just yeah, I think that like just as parents, we should just be more open minded.
That says it all, though, because I think that is what's happening, that we aren't open minded. And if someone says, like, I want to be I remember my daughter said, I want to be a violinist, ballerina, photographer. And I think she was maybe 13, and because she played violin, she was a late starter. I think she was in 8th grade, and everyone started, at 3. And she wanted to practice, just go to class, and then she wanted to, right. But when a parent first hears that, it is hard to be supportive and say, yes, you be that violinist, ballerina, photographer. But what you're saying, the more that I do research to support, because they will change your mind 10, 20 times. But as a parent, you think, oh my gosh, but there's no such thing as a ballerina, photographer, violinist. But if you just say, wow, that sounds really cool, and that's it, instead of saying, like a critical comment.
Yeah, no, and you can be more, and you can the thing too is like you can pursue like multiple things. Like,
Yeah.
so just to break down like my exact like experience in like with this music industry, like I direct vids, I do photography, I have like a little bit of experience like with like graphic designs. I have very limited audio recording experience, but I think like my biggest things is probably just like my uh, promotional skills, and of course like now considering management. So all these different like skills that I got, uh, that kind of falls under the same business.
Hmm.
So fortunately for me, and sometimes like I might even I've even considered like breaking into like doing like clothing lines and things like that. So you know Who knows? Maybe further down the line, there could be a way that you can connect a ballerina, a pianist, and a photographer and a violinist. You know, you
You
never know.
never know. You never know. And that's what I think parents need to see is if just because your son is cutting classes, your daughter's not doing your homework, it's not like a predestined like failure because you're not doing, you know what I love what you just said is they're not going to necessarily want what you want. But a lot of parents think you're going to be and you just kind of force your dreams onto them.
Yeah, man. Man, my stepfather was definitely that type of a parent. Sincerely. Even my mom a little bit to an extent, but like I said, it's just because they want the best for their children. But
That's what it is. And
but
they
like I said, like
think,
as guardians though, like I said, it's just a matter of being a support system. Of course, like I understand, like if your child has like some aspirations that might not be like like let's just say like legal per se, then of course like I understand like you would have like those types of concerns. But
right.
like I said, like you all you got to do is just be a form of guidance. Once again, I'll say it again. You can't tell a man what to do. You can only advise him. You know, and then that's part of being a young adult too is learning who to take advice from and who's really there for you in your corner, who's up to bat for you. When the time comes. You know, that's one thing that sincerely, it's not something that can be taught, but it's
Hmm.
discernment. You know,
Yes.
and sometimes discernment comes through. You have to learn discernment through bad experiences. I had obtained my discernment through my bad experiences because I had to learn who really weren't my friends and then
Hmm.
who really were. Because when the time came when I needed my friends, the people that were there for me, that's when I realized, okay, these guys are my friends. And that's why I was saying that experience is a bad teacher. So that's why like as parents, sometimes you gotta let your kids spread your wings. So
And we
uh,
learn the most, though, like you said, could have been, you could perceive it as bad, but it's truly a gift. I remember
I'm
reading that,
sure that there
you
was
know,
like a bad teacher that you might have had when you were in sixth grade or
oh
seventh
my
or eighth grade.
gosh.
I remember my bad teacher at I don't want to say his name, but I remember him in fourth grade. Man, he definitely, oh man, he definitely impacted my life in a negative way. But the thing is, because of that, I won't forget him. And I learned from it. And that's kind of like the approach that people got to make in life. When it comes to all these other with their kids. Is sometimes you gotta like I said, you gotta let them scrape their knee. There's
Would
nothing
it be
wrong.
less stressful to just trust their journey because they're trying so hard to reel them in and prevent
I
them
feel
from
like,
making
oh my
mistakes?
goodness, let me reflect on that too. It's definitely not as stressful. I've seen so many parents where it's like, oh my god, what if I'm
Yeah.
like, man, don't you have a meeting at like 6? Like, don't worry about little man. Let him do his thing. Listen, man. Let him go. Let him experience this. And then, you know what? When he comes back or when you're out of that meeting, guess what? You can ask him, hey, how was your day? How did it go? Because that's kind of what you do basically with your spouse when you come home from after work, right? How
Yeah.
was your day? You gotta do that with your kids too sometimes. Now there's nothing wrong with being nervous and being of course like concerned, for your child's well being and whatnot. But don't do it to the point where you become like a helicopter dad or helicopter mom.
Yes.
Like let them grow, let them blossom. You know, Let me break it down like this: if they're a flower and you're a helicopter, they're not going to get the sunlight that they need to grow.
Perfect
Ooh, well,
analogy.
that was nice. I'm gonna write
Whoa,
that
that
down.
was
I need to.
pretty
I need to write that
powerful.
down.
Those are perfect lyrics.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I'm
they're
gonna write that
blocking the
down on my phone real quick.
sunlight. I'm gonna tell that to well, because you don't realize that you think I'm protecting the flower. I'm gonna make sure that, no cat tears it away and the rain, I don't know, like a thunderstorm, I'm gonna really protect it. But then you don't realize when you coddle too much, then the flower dies and you think, what happened? I did my best to protect it, but that is a
Sincerely,
great analogy.
Yeah, no, that's like that. Like I said, that's kind of what happened with me and my mother. Once I had like a to get on my own, like it was a big reality check for me. Because I didn't understand anything about like rent or insurance or stuff like that. I had to learn it from the jump. I think as adults or as parents to young adults, that's one thing that they should definitely like be big on, like trying to teach them is like, okay, you got to prepare for adulthood. Okay, you got
Mm-hmm.
to get a job, you got to get this, you got to, and sometimes, like we just want to baby our kids so much to the point where, once they actually become like, an adult, they're not able to function. So,
That's what we're learning about kids who are just, it's like their chargers are being charged and their phones are being charged for them. Food is automatically there, and then gas is always, like readily available. And then they go on their own and they're thinking, well, I broke my charger. What do I do now? Or just, just basic things because you're so, you mean well, but like you said, you are hiding that sunlight.
yeah.
That was really powerful. I'm going to end with that. I think that analogy hopefully will let parents know that as much as you care for them, don't block the sunlight.
Never, never, never let that sun shine.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much. Wow, you have outdone your interview your status and like can you you must be tired too. I'm going to tell everyone that I emailed Nick at about, I don't know, I didn't realize it was 2 in the morning your time, and then you just promptly sent your headshot that I requested, your bio, and I thought, what time is it in Florida? I mean, you were up. Do you get enough sleep?
I try. I just been on my grind for a minute. I'm getting ready to release my album this summer, so I might need to push it back. Sincerely, I gotta talk with my team a little bit more on it. But yeah, like no, I just been working. Making phone calls, trying to get things lined up. Like this for example, this interview. Just meeting with like multiple people, camera guys, audio engineers. So I mean the grind don't stop, and this is my means to provide for my family. This is also like I said, like I'm an activist before an artist. So this is really just like something for me to have outreach, and be able to have my voice like touch, and impact as many lives as possible. And once again, that's why I'm so grateful to be on here because you're playing a part in me with me having to reach like voices in Hawaii, and I hope that
You'll
I
have a
do have
concert
one.
here one day, hopefully.
No, I do plan on it. October is the game plan right now. October is when I'm trying to come out there. I'm trying to do 5 videos. Um, there's one video in particular that I'm aiming to shoot as well. It's gonna be about autism awareness. There's a school out there that I attended. I don't know if you're familiar with it, Loveland.
I
It's
was just looking at that. That's I didn't realize when I looked it up and it said 1 to 2 ratio that there's 2 students. I've never in my life heard of. I mean, that is like the
only
most
two
awesome.
students.
It's like a 1-to-1 ratio. So they accept 2 students right now. Like enrollment is closed. They only accept
Mm,
2 students, and it's like 1-to-1. I mean, you have one teacher to. So I was going to ask you real quick, what was your? I mean, talk about small class setting. Was it
man.
a?
Well, first and foremost, it definitely was a small class setting when I was attending that school.
So they
Uh,
must have changed it.
yeah. Most likely, if that's the case. But yeah, when I was one thing I have to really accredit that school. Um, two things. It built up my self confidence, you know, and it also built up my self esteem. And I'm saying these like as in two different aspects. Uh, confidence, my self confidence being more of just believing in myself, and I definitely obtained like a lot of leadership skills there. I noticed that was the first school that I was the cool kid. I was the kid that everyone was like, "Oh man, man, go, we gotta eat lunch with Nick, or we're gonna go play with Nick." And my self esteem in the sense that like because like I was battling depression at a young age, growing up in Hawaii, attending multiple schools like Kalihi Lanakila,
Oh,
Lincoln.
you went to Lanakila?
My mom was a teacher at Lanakila, and
Oh,
I
because
was
my,
her
my
student.
daughters went to Friendship Christian right next door
Oh,
on Renton
nice.
Road. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah. No, I attended Lanakila, Kalihi Lincoln over there in Makiki. Yeah, like sincerely, I think Lincoln was probably like my worst experience. I actually was abused by my teacher over there at that time. But no, but no, but just me growing up in Hawaii at that time. I feel like because like there's a lot of influence by the Japanese over there,
Yeah.
and they're not really more prone with like special needs kids. So like yeah, so like just me being a special needs student and growing up in that type of environment, it definitely wasn't it wasn't friendly, you know, and
Or
you
their
know
mindset. Yeah, let's just say
it
they
was
don't
and it
they
was
don't have.
and it was hard to cope, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
with circumstances and you know, of course, like you know, like those types of environments, you know, they're heavily gang infested, and you know, like that kind of reflects on like the home environment, and then kids want to bring that to school, and you know, I think I was a lot more soft when I was a young boy. Florida kind of made me a little bit more harder, but but yeah, you know, when I attended Loveland, like I said, like it built up my self esteem and
Is this high school?
no, the fifth grade. It's elementary school.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, it's sincerely like I love that school, and I'll never forget my experiences there. And I hope
How
that
long did you attend?
huh?
How long did you attend?
Only for one semester. From the beginning of my fifth grade year up until February. February, I think I almost want to say February 2nd is when I left Hawaii. I almost remember the date sincerely. Like
See, that's pretty monumental to have that in your.
I was so sad. I was so sad when I left because like I didn't want to I didn't want to leave that school. I love going to school every day. Like for real, I really loved attending Loveland. Um, but yeah, my goal. I have a record that I want to do music video about autism awareness. Um, and I want to talk about my
Wow, that's
story with me
incredible.
dealing with my autism. And I would love for like the proceeds to somehow like give back to, you know, like the special education department, I guess, like, you know, within like the Hawaii school system.
Well, and we definitely need it, and that's what's sad, because the funds are very limited, which hurts the autism population because we need resources. Sometimes there's not enough chairs or books or things that they
And I
need.
don't, and sincerely, like, I don't even know if that necessarily might be what I want to do, like just in terms of like just working with like the DOE back there. But
Yes.
all I know is that I want to get back somehow, in some way, especially with like the special needs kids. You know,
Well, just introducing your music, that alone. Just introducing your music and providing that outlet and just that that's inspirational right there.
mm, no, yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you. Well, geez, this was so much fun. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all the time that you spent with me on a Friday. And I know wow, it is dinner time for you, right? Well, almost. It's like 5:18 or something. So you've been
Yeah,
interviewed for like probably 4 hours.
over here's fine.
Because didn't you start with Declan
I
around?
well, low key, I'm gonna see if I can actually do one more interview. I gotta talk to this person. I gotta see if they're available to record or whatever. But
Wow.
I'll probably go and like I said, Karen, the grind doesn't stop. So, but yeah, I'll probably go grab a bite and yeah, I'll just get back to work, man. But sincerely, Karen,
Wow.
mahalo. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
It
Thank you
means the
so much.
world
Let's
to
keep
me.
in touch. And when you come here in October, we have to meet.
No,
Definitely fly
absolutely.
over. Yeah.
We got to go to Starbucks or Jumbo Juice
Sounds good
or
to me.
both.
Or both. Or grab a drink at, say, I think there's a lot of new Hawaii. Well, you probably haven't been to a lot of the new Hawaii places that serve amazing drinks. That's what we should do too. And then we'll make sure that Deslin flies over.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Take care.
All right.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.